How Reece Walsh spends his millions. What does a 22-year-old kid do when the world suddenly drops millions at his feet and calls him the future of rugby league? Brisbane hums under a late spring sun, the kind that turns the river into liquid gold. In a quiet riverside mansion that still smells faintly of fresh paint and new beginnings, Reece Walsh wakes before the city does. No alarm, just the soft glow of dawn and the weight of a life that changed overnight. He pads barefoot across polished timber floors, past framed maroons and Broncos jerseys that already feel like museum pieces. The house is big, yes, but not gaudy. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the story bridge like a postcard he still can't believe is his. Please like, share, and subscribe for more sport talk content. Outside, a matte black Rolls-Royce Cullinan sits beside a more modest twin-cab ute, still dusted with red dirt from the family block in Nerang. Two worlds, one driveway. That's Reece. Most mornings begin the same. Coffee strong enough to wake the dead, brewed while he FaceTimes his daughter Indy, who's 2.5 going on 20. She babbles about Dada's fast shoes, and he laughs the kind of laugh that makes the whole house feel warmer. No amount of money, he says later, will ever buy a better sound. By 7, he's in the garage turned home gym, headphones blasting old school R&B his Tongan dad played on repeat. The workouts are brutal because the NRL never sleeps, but every grunt and drop of sweat is an investment in the little girl who calls him my hero without knowing what the word really costs. The first big purchase wasn't a Lambo or a gold chain. It was a house, cash, no loan, for his mom Kim and stepdad Bert in Churchable, 90 minutes west of the city. Rolling hills, a dam full of yabbies, enough bedrooms for every cousin to crash on Christmas. He handed over the keys on a random Tuesday and cried harder than the day he debuted for Queensland. Then came the block next door for his biological dad, Andy, the proud Tongan who taught him respect before he ever taught him football. Two neighbors who once barely spoke, now separated by only a fence and years of healing. Money didn't fix the past, but it built a bridge wide enough for both sides to walk across. He flies them all business class to every home game. Indy has her own tiny Broncos jersey with Daddy One on the back. When the team runs out and 50,000 people scream his name, his eyes search only for that one little face painted with maroon and gold. Cars? Sure. There's the Rolls, a G-Wagon in Stormtrooper white, a custom Golf R for bombing up the coast. But the one he drives most is still the beat-up Hilux he bought secondhand at 17 because it reminds him of scraping coins for fuel with his mates after training. Tattoos tell the rest of the story. Fresh ink across his throat reads Indy Rose in cursive so delicate it looks like lace. On his ribs, a lion wearing a crown of frangipanis for his Polynesian queens, his mum and his nana. Every dollar that goes under the needle is a dollar that stays with him forever. He invested quietly, almost secretly. Property in Logan, where he grew up, units he rents cheap to single mums who remind him of his own. A stake in a local barbershop chain because every kid deserves a fresh cut before school photos. No press releases, no captions, just doing what feels right. Weekends off-season are spent barefoot on North Stradbroke Island, fishing with uncles who still call him Bub, no matter how many billboards he's on. The jet skis stay in storage. He'd rather feel sand between his toes and salt on his skin while Indy builds castles he pretends are Broncos Stadium. He still buys his own groceries, still lines up at the kebab shop on Caxton Street after games, still slips the homeless bloke outside Suncorp a $100 note and tells him to get something warm. The cashier does double takes, but Reece just smiles like it's the most normal thing in the world. I never want money to change my heart, he says in a rare interview, voice low, almost shy. I watched my mom work 3 jobs so I could chase this dream. If I ever forget that, I'm done. I want Indy to grow up proud of her dad, not because he's got flashy things, but because he looked after the people who looked after him when we had nothing. Some nights I sit on the balcony and just stare at the river. I think about the kid who used to sleep on couches because we couldn't afford rent. Same kid, bigger house, same job. Make my family smile. I'm still learning. Some days I'll blow 30 grand on dumb stuff and feel sick about it the next morning. But then I remember my nana saying, money's only good if it makes someone else's life softer. So I try to live by that. In a sport where headlines scream about scandals and supercars, Reece Walsh is writing a quieter story. One mortgage paid off, one cousin put through uni, one little girl who will never know what it feels like to worry where dinner's coming from. The millions come and go. Contracts get bigger. Endorsements roll in. But the boy with the mullet and the old Hilux keys on the same keyring as the Cullinan never really left. He's proof that wealth doesn't have to steal your soul. Sometimes it just gives you a louder way to say thank you to the people who carried you when your legs were too small to run. So when you see Reece Walsh light up the field, remember the houses he bought before he bought himself anything. Remember the little girl whose laugh is worth more than every dollar. Remember the kid who turned money into bridges instead of walls. That's not just how Reece Walsh spends his millions. That's how he spends his life. If you want me to rewrite, reformat, shorten, expand, or turn it into a video script, just